The former First Minister of Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon, has given an exclusive and, as it turns out, a gripping interview to this channel ahead of the release of her upcoming memoir.
It would never be anything other than gripping with Julie involved. In an open, frank interview, they discuss the investigation into the SNP's finances and her sexuality and her relationship with Alex Salmond. And ITV News' Julie Etchingham, who sat down with the First Minister, joined us now. You didn't skirt any meaty issues, did you?
Well, the book is full of meaty issues. I was simply, you know, when we were given prior sight of the book, I think those of us who had that sight of the book were just thinking, right, well, where are we going to go with this? Because there's so much in here. I mean, whether it's about her politics, whether it's about the independence referendum, whether it's about when she first came into politics, whether it's her relationship with Alex Salmond, the commentary that she gives, lifting the lid on the day that the police came to her house, just 8 days after she'd stood down as First Minister. I mean, there is a lot in this book.
What do you think she's written it?
It's very interesting. One of the things that she says at the beginning of the book, and that we talked to her a little in the interview, is that she said this book for her was a lifeline. She talks about it as being therapy and a cathartic process. And you can see some shots here. We filmed in a couple of locations when we went to Scotland to speak to the former First Minister. You'll see there's some shots there of a beach walk that we did. And it's the first time she's taken a camera crew there, but it's a place called Dunure in Ayrshire, which means an awful lot to Nicola Sturgeon. It's where she used to play on the beach as a child because her grandparents' house was there, home was there. So she clearly, with this book, wants to take you right to the beginnings, right to the centre of her life and try to unpack it. And I think very clearly part of that is unburdening herself, getting it all out there. And it is extraordinary. You know, she says she's been through a very, turbulent time.
Very personal as well, the way she talked about things. And I imagine that's going to be part of the fascination of reading it and also seeing your interview, because she's not someone that's always easy to read, is she? She's got quite a sort of firm frontage. Well, and actually, I can put it that way.
Well, I can find other ways, I don't know. But she would say it's very interesting how she addresses that, actually, in the book, because she talks throughout the book that she struggles with being an introvert in effectively an extrovert's profession. So that tension that she has walked all of her political life, she can, I think it would be fair, in my assessment of what we heard from her, she can sort of relax a little and find that space. And, she, by her own confession, would retreat to her world of books as a getaway from politics.
One of the moments where she talks very openly about the emotions it stirred in her was the day of the arrest.
Yeah.
And have a look at what she said.
Let's have a look at what she said.
It wasn't until I got to my mum and dad's that I saw the pictures of my house looking like a murder scene, effectively. And yeah, it was just. Sorry, I'm just working out that it's really hard to articulate how I felt that day.
You described Sunday, June the 11th, worst day of your life. You're arrested. You have to attend a police station. You're there for hours. To go from First Minister, this lauded female politician, to walking into a police station for questioning. How was that?
Horrific.
Those of us who've interviewed her in the past when she was doing her job, we'd all heard the rumours about her sexuality. And because that was a very private matter, it was never something which one felt it was suitable to put a question to her about. It's nothing to do with us, it's nothing to do really with the public. But she herself talks about those rumours and about her sexuality, and she does to you, doesn't she?
Yes, I mean, she talks very firmly about one specific rumour about her and a former French ambassador in the book. She denies categorically those rumours. They made her furious. She talks about the upset around all of those, and she actually says that she describes some of the way that rumour was unpacked by those who were spreading it effectively. She thought was homophobic. She then gets to the point in the book after that where she says quite simply, I never considered sexuality, mine own included, to be binary. So we ask her about that, and this is what she has to say.
You write in the book, I have never considered sexuality, mine own included, to be binary. What do you mean by that?
I mean what it says. It's just my view of the world and life and the way people are. If you're about to ask me, am I making some big revelation? No. Am I putting labels on myself? No. That's how I see the world.
Might we see you in a relationship with a woman?
I'm just out of a marriage, so I'm not rushing into a relationship with anyone anytime soon. I'm enjoying being my own person for a while.
But not ruling it out?
I'm not contemplating, sort of anything of that nature. I'm just enjoying life.
Of course, the huge relationship running like a chain through the book is that relationship with Alex Salmond. It's very much sort of a father-daughter relationship to begin with, wasn't it? He was very much her mentor. She leaned on him quite heavily. She was very close to him.
Yes, I mean, I'm not sure she would characterise it quite in those terms, but it's very clear that she, for so long in her career, at so many stages, did she credit him with being her teacher, friend and mentor. And they were, when you reflect back, over 10 years now to that Scottish independence referendum, they were the dream team of Scottish politics at that point, and they were absolutely in lockstep at that stage. Although there were, behind the scenes, it could also sometimes be quite fractious, and we touch a bit on that in the interview too. But obviously, of course, as we've seen in the last few years, that relationship fell apart spectacularly. So she talks about that moment when she heard that he died very suddenly. It had a heart attack in October 2024. And so I just asked her a little bit about that phone call when she heard that he died.
I still miss him in some way, the person that I used to know and the relationship we used to have. But I thought I had made my peace with it, that I'd got to a point where I felt nothing. And then I got a call to tell me that Alex Salmond had died. And I started crying on the phone, and I just was hit by this wave of grief. And it was complicated because obviously we weren't just no longer friends, we were political enemies. There was no prospect I was going to be able to go to his funeral or anything like that.
It's a huge, huge thing, isn't it? Whatever you end a relationship of any sort on, that is that connection throughout life. She also spoke about current politicians, including her thoughts on Nigel Farage.
Yes, shall we have a look at that clip?
He just comes across as somebody who's got a very, very fragile ego, somebody who's not particularly comfortable, particularly around women.
I mean, you call him odious.
In the 2015 leaders' debate, just before we went on air that night, I just remember hearing him tell somebody how much he'd had to drink in the green rooms beforehand, and it just felt this kind of bravado and just not very pleasant. But, that's my impression.
You spent many hours with her, and obviously a lot of the conversation wasn't on camera. Did you like her?
Well, I've always had a good professional relationship with Nicola Sturgeon, as many of us have in the roles that we have as journalists, is that I've met her at various stages along her political career. I first started filming with her for the Tonight programme in 2015, when actually we filmed in her home. And so it was, it's quite something to sort of charted the years since.
Bet, yeah.
But actually, it was interesting because she mentioned the election debates there, and actually, that's the most frequently I've seen her, of course, is for those election debates. She's always, for me as a journalist, she's always been extremely straightforward to interview, and I know that, we've had... there's, the interview goes up and down in gear changes, as you'll see this evening. But, she was very keen to mark this point as the beginning of a new chapter for her.
Yeah, when she said she felt enjoying being happy, I hope for her sake that's true. But do you have any sense of what she might do next, what her immediate plans or long-term plans are?
Well, I don't think there's any doubting the fact that she feels pretty happy with where she's at. I mean, she talks a lot, both in the book, and she talked to us a lot during the course of the interview about having realised that, you know, given she'd been through the most extraordinary, turbulent last couple of years, that she, in her view, has this extraordinary resilience. She's got a tattoo now. She's looking forward to that. Well, you'll see it.
Keep something back.
You'll see some of it a little later. But she's obviously looking forward to the future with joy, actually.
So we say, don't we, that all political careers end in failure, which isn't quite true, but most do end in abject failure. She's not broken by it.
She would say she absolutely isn't at this stage. I think, you know, and it's been clear there have been other news lines that have come out where she came perilously close to the edge, perilously close to a breakdown. She had therapy after the COVID inquiry, for example. So she has had some very bleak times. But the place in which we found her doing this interview was one of relief, release and resilience.
Well, and she might even leave Scotland for a bit.
Yes, she said she will consider leaving Scotland for a little while.
Well, it's not often that we see senior politicians as human beings, but that is what you will see tonight. Nicola Sturgeon, The Interview. It's going to air at 7 p.m. on ITV1, ITVX and STV. Congratulations on it.
Thanks, Julie.
It's
well
a great
done.
piece of work.
It's a good team. It's always a team.
Of course.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Well, we look forward to watching that later.